Just imagine what it must have been like to be a leftist or especially a trans rights activist in the decade from, say, 2015 to 2024 or so. They had conquered basically every important institution, not just in America, but practically the whole of the West. They own the U.S. government, obviously. The State Department, the CIA, even the DOD didn't miss an opportunity to wave their pride flags. And the UK government was arguably even more creepy on that front. And of course, this level of control over the government meant that you can pump money into your favored NGOs. Big corporations bowed to their whims. The banks and payment processors decided it was A-OK to deny conservatives of their livelihoods. And of course, big tech and social media were under their complete domination. Sometime around 2022, they probably wept, for there were no more lands to conquer. And they enforced this domination, of course, largely by silencing people who they disagreed with. I haven't compiled a detailed chronology or anything, but for some reason the first cancellation that really stuck with me was when Lauren Southern was kicked off of Patreon. At the time, kicking political folks off of tech platforms was somewhat new and novel, so the Patreon CEO made a long video about his reasoning. And Dave Rubin even did a long interview with him where they assured us that nobody was out to censor the conservatives, nothing to see here. Lauren was, quote, credibly threatening people's lives. By the way, this shows just how different things were as recently as 2017. Nowadays, you just get a termination email. This decision is final. No further information is available. Lauren actually got a personalized video from the CEO. Not that that makes it all that much better. In a little over a year, by the way, Mr. Rubin had left Patreon altogether, saying it had clearly turned against conservatives in particular. By 2018, things were really starting to accelerate. We were in the throes of Black Lives Matter, so we had some racial cancellations. Megyn Kelly said darkening your skin for a Halloween costume, blackface I guess, is sometimes okay, and NBC kicked her out. Roseanne Barr had her show canceled because she said that Valerie Jarrett, a prominent Democrat, looked like, quote, the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby. In Roseanne's defense, she is a comedian, and honestly, it is kind of a funny line. And I honestly don't really know the context, though. I can't find any evidence that she's a Muslim. And when I looked at her picture, I honestly thought that she was a white lady. But Black Lives Matters was a crazy time, so I guess you just got to go with it. And obviously, we ended up seeing a ton of high-profile cancellations by the left. I can't talk about them all, but I do want to call out at least two. First, of course, would be J.K. Rowling. She's like the patron saint of cancellation victims. I'll just go ahead and read what she said that got the whole thing started. And I'll warn you, this is probably the most controversial tweet of all time, so this content might be very shocking. Quote, if sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. This was actually one of a series of 3 tweets, but they all had that same conciliatory tone. Miss Rowling wasn't trying to stir up controversy at all. She was offering peace. Let me have my boundaries, trans people, and I will happily support you. And bear in mind, she was a true and proper liberal. She said the right things, believed the right things. She was a feminist icon. But, as I'm sure you're aware, this simply wouldn't do. Thou shalt have no gods before transgenderism, and boundaries of any sort will not be tolerated. And for the record, they really could not have picked a worse enemy. Aside from being a beloved author, probably the most widely read of the last half century, this woman is feisty, very well spoken. She has a devastating wit, and she's also, obviously, an honest-to-God billionaire, which never hurts. But this is where we really start to see the massive divide in how the far left and basically everyone else gets treated. Aside from the effort to kick her out of public life entirely, she was also the victim of the most horrifying series of rape and death threats you can possibly imagine. And there's a strange irony here, by the way. These people are lobbying to get into women's bathrooms, and they send these just horrifying messages that no self-respecting man would ever even think of writing, much less sending to a woman. So she and many others at this point are seeing all kinds of posts threatening them, wishing them dead, publishing their address, and when they report them, get back a polite form letter stating, we've reviewed the content and found that it does not violate our community standards. But especially at the time, if you went on Facebook or Twitter or especially Reddit and said it's a mental illness to believe you were born in the wrong body or experienced the wrong puberty, you would promptly find yourself kicked off the platform. And finally, of course, in terms of high-profile cancellations, there's President Trump. This one was also fascinating because
Once Elon bought Twitter, we got to see the communication basically in real time of Twitter employees scrambling to find a justification to kick him off the platform. I think that matter has actually been pretty well covered, so I'm not going to go into it too much because honestly, I found the banning of the Trump subreddit, The Donald, a bit more interesting. This happened in 2020. The subreddit was hugely popular. Yes, Reddit had technical justification they offered for banning it, but that wasn't terribly compelling, and honestly, we know that they banned it because Reddit's so-called power mods demanded it. They found it embarrassing and off-brand that so much advocacy and organization for Trump would happen on their site.
And it took them years to ban posts calling to attack, punch, shoot, or kill people that they labeled as fascists. And they didn't ban calling Trump supporters fascists or Nazis either. So this isn't exactly a major leap of logic. That person is a fascist. Oh, and we should kill fascists. I don't want to dwell too much on this, but conservatives found themselves in this bizarre catch-22. Leftists are more than welcome to describe us as fascists, which is to say less than human, deserving of real harm. But when conservatives show up, try to offer a reasoned defense of our positions, much like Charlie Kirk tried to do, maybe have a candid discussion about race, religion, gender, crime, whatever, we're promptly banned, all in the name of preserving safe spaces. And we see how that worked out. Anyways, I should bring this to a close. Obviously, conservatives had it rough. Elon bought Twitter, of course. That was a huge blow to the left's iron grip on public discourse. We had Fox News, not terribly conservative, but they'll do, I guess. Charlie was out there fighting the good fight on college campuses. I'm sure he played a big part in pushing young men, especially, to the right. But then a crazy thing happened in 2024. You madmen, you did it. You got Trump elected. And how could this be? They silenced us, debanked us, stalked us, harassed us, called us terrible names. The Democrats outspent us in the campaign by 3-1. And Trump, of course, was being prosecuted in multiple jurisdictions. They tried to sue him into bankruptcy. The man was literally shot, and he won. And you know what else? You, my friend, you're the mainstream. If someone's telling you your beliefs are intolerant, they're not in line with contemporary American views, they're lying. And we have the numbers to prove it. We are the mainstream. Our views aren't radical. They're held by the majority of Americans. If you say a man can't turn into a woman, that shouldn't be a controversial statement. If you say people who enter the country illegally should head on back, that shouldn't be met with shock. It should be met with a yawn, because that's what most Americans actually believe. Don't let these people lie to you anymore. So that's all I've got for now. I'm Abe. I'm with the Radical Right, and you are welcome to join us.